Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Redhead Med. It has been quite a while, but in the meantime, since then, I graduated and I moved to New York for residency. And today I'm going to be teaching you guys kind of how to get your ERAS application specifically ready so that you're ready before September, okay? And I'm going to split this series up into multiple parts. Today we're going to concentrate kind of on your CV, but I'll also briefly mention a little bit about the other parts and then I'll make separate videos on them. So keep watching. So to begin, this video is focusing on ERAS, mostly for US American students. I'm sorry, I'm not quite familiar with the IMG process yet, but I really hope to, in the future, understand a little bit more about what they go through. So to begin, I need to look at this ERAS application that I have in front of me because it has been a while since I've done this. Okay. So one of the first things you want is a really good headshot. It's okay to spend money on your headshot. It's going to be used for like everything. It's going to be used when they announce that you match. So make sure that you're taking a really nice professional headshot and that you're able to kind of like, you know, really use that for your advantage. Another thing that you want to have ready before we really start the application itself is a Twitter account, because Med Twitter is so useful and so helpful. So for me, when I was applying, I let people on Twitter know who I was, where I'm coming from, and then kind of like what my ideal program is, like in terms of location. So I said Los Angeles and then New York City. And I kind of did that on purpose too, because then it would include like the entire United States since they're like at opposite ends. And I was able to connect with a lot of people on Med Twitter during this time, especially like attendings and program directors as well. So that's just something to really like, you know, notice and keep track of, especially in this era of COVID. Okay. So in terms of your ERAS, you really want to like make a regular CV and then put it onto your ERAS. It's annoying, it's redundant, you're gonna have to do it twice, but I'm letting you know now that programs will ask for a regular CV on top of what's on your ERAS. And then when you're doing your onboarding stuff for residency, they're gonna ask for a regular CV outside of your ERAS. So it's best to update and finalize your CV and then just kind of like copy and paste that stuff onto ERAS. And that's how we will do that. Okay, so for the first thing, you know how like a regular CV is. You want to kind of put your name, where you go to school and whatnot. But in terms of your school, my advice for you is if your GPA is like good, put your GPA there, but also talk about any scholarships or Dean's List awards that you've gotten. So for me, I put my scholarships on there because I want them to know that I am, you know, a person of color. I qualify for financial aid and merit scholarships, so that's something that you can put on your CV and it will be talked about. Something else about the CV is that you have to recognize that anything that you put on your ERAS application can and will be used against you in a court of law type of situation. So just make sure that what you're putting on your CV is intentional in that sense. So yeah, you're gonna put your undergrad, any other like schooling you did, such as master's, EMT school, medical translation school, and then your med school kind of credit or qualifications in that sense. And then the next thing that I had listed in my CV was kind of like a research experience. So I'm kind of keeping my first page really academic. And something that you are gonna have to realize with a med school CV is that it's not gonna be just one page. You do so much stuff in med school that it is not going to be a traditional one-page CV, and that's completely okay. I know people that had 10 pages because they did literally so much research. I know people that had like 4 or 5. So don't worry about how long that is. There is a section in ERAS where you do need to worry about how long something is, and that's the personal statement. But in terms of the CV, it does not matter how long it is, as long as you are listing out your accomplishments and you are ready to talk about those accomplishments. So going back to the research experience. So you're gonna list your research experience with the most like present, the most recent one being at the top, and then the one that you've done in the past, the most past one, will be all the way at the bottom. And so you kind of like want to be like, for instance, like I did stuff at Harvard. So it'd be like, Brigham and Women's, like, is where it was at. This is what we focused on. This is my PI. And then like in your description, like this is what my project goals were. And this is what I did. And then, yeah, if it got published, you can actually put in where it's published, if it's like PubMed or like any academic journal, or just simply like list it out. For me, I put the link so that people can find it if they want to read it. I don't think they did because it's like EM and who knows, but maybe somebody did. So it's kind of cool to do that. And like I said, you know, it's okay to list out every single paper that you've written, but for the sake of like, if you think you're having too many pages or you just don't like want to have it that long, then just talk about your research opportunities that were really relevant to the specialty that you're applying to. That being said, other research opportunities that don't really apply to your specialty can also be talked about in a very positive light. So for me, I did research in radiology, and I'm now an EM resident. And so for me, for the radiology research, it was actually kind of creating a website. And so kind of how I flipped it was that like I was able to kind of be like the student leader in regards to making the webpage, and also like learning a new subset of skills that I never really thought I would get to know. And also, you know, how you teach it to other students and how that's impacted you, and how you can see that working with EM is kind of how you can frame it. Especially in cases where you don't have a lot of research, and like the only research opportunities you have are in specialties that are not of your interest. And that happens a lot, and that's okay. Just make sure that you do include it so that, you know, programs do know that you're active in research, but also like that you're able to relate it beyond what that specific goal was and into the career that you plan on being in, is what I would say. So that's it. The first thing, research experience. Then after research experience, you could put leadership position, or you could switch the order. It's whatever. And so yeah, you're going to put all the leadership positions you were in. So were you the president of this club? Were you the vice president? Were you the treasurer? Or were you just a member? Sometimes just putting that you were a member is important. Like, oh, I was a member of SNMA. I was a member of AMA. Like stuff like that. You know, that could get people talking. Just make sure that, again, if you do mention it, it can be brought up. So make sure you actually know what you did during the club and how you contributed to it. And especially if you're a leader, what they love to hear about and see on ERAS is how you used your leadership, how you made a lasting impact, how that inspired other people, and kind of like how it bridges to mentorship or the ultimate goals of what your program is looking for, if that kind of makes sense. The next section is health-related experiences and service. So that's kind of like, you know, if you were scribing, if you donate blood every week, if you volunteer to read to children, feed the homeless, kind of like your volunteer experience. That's where this will go. And again, you'll, you know, put your most recent and the least recent in the back, but also like how many hours you devoted, the dates, and then like what you did. And again, remember, everything in your CV can and will be asked, so just make sure that you genuinely did the volunteer experience. Don't lie about that type of stuff, because, you know, you will get nervous and like fumble the bag during the interview. So just make sure something you actually did. In that sense. Okay, after health related experiences, we have awards. And so for me, I'm kind of bad. I put these scholarships that I got, like Dean's List, the merit-based, the need-based scholarships, into this section again, just so they know. A common question that I've been getting asked from a lot of people that are doing their OAs, especially you know, amazing minorities and whatnot, is, hey, can I put that I got a clerkship scholarship award into my CV? And yes, you absolutely can, and you absolutely should. And yeah, just so that programs know that you are that person, you got that scholarship, and you did well in your clerkship, and, you know, you can come from humble beginnings and really relate to your patient population, if that kind of makes sense. So it is something that you can definitely mention and kind of brag about, because it is competitive. These clerkship scholarships are competitive to get. They're hard to get. So you know what? Brag about yourself. That's what this is all about. This is what this CV is about today, okay? Okay. So here's the thing. For this next part, if you have a lot of publications, then you don't necessarily need to put them underneath your research experience. You could have your own slot for them. It's called publications and presentations. So I guess what I did, because I did a lot of presentations, I didn't have that many publications, I only had one, but I did a lot of presentations. So I was going to like, you know, the University of Alabama, University of Louisville, like, and presenting my research paper there. So what I did was I included those like conferences so that they would know that I was comfortable presenting my research and stuff like that. Because in residency, you do have opportunities to do national conferences and present, and a lot of programs love to see their residents do research and, you know, present it and be comfortable and confident enough with sharing those type of presentations. So it's really important that if you do not have a lot of publications, but you did go to a lot of conferences and you know, presented your poster, that you do brag about that. You let them know, like, yeah, you know what? I might not have got published, but you know what? I was confident and my research was good enough to be accepted into these research conventions. So you know what? Like I say, brag about yourself, especially in the CV. Okay, and so the last thing on your CV, which to me was the funnest part, was putting your interests, skills, and hobbies. So for me, I had like vegan, fine food, tennis, photography, and YouTubing. And so I think for like every single interview, people ask me about vegan fine because my boyfriend's vegan. So that, to me, vegan fine is like taking like almost like a lasagna and converting it into a vegan meal where there's a substitution of the meats, the cheeses, and whatnot. And so they would ask me about it, and you know, I would just talk about it as passionately as I could be. Or the same with like photography, or also like YouTubing, like for instance this channel. So for your interest, you know, you don't want to put like things that make you look lazy, if that makes sense. You don't want to put like, oh, I binge watch Netflix. Oh, sitting in bed is my activity. Being a loner is my, like, no. This is the time for you to once again talk about the cool things you do. Like also model. So I like let them know that. Or like for instance, let's say that, you know, you like gifting. One of my friends is like, oh, I like gifting, and it's very unique, and you can talk about, I mean, I put that too, because I really do spend a lot of time thinking about what I'm getting somebody for their birthday and remembering their birthday and planning surprises and stuff like this. So like, just like unique things that you do, flowering, like fitness is really good too, hiking, just things that make you seem more like a person rather than just like a step score and whatnot. So yeah, that's kind of the summary of how to really approach the CV section for ERAS. In the next couple of videos, we're going to be talking about the personal statement, how to, like, you know, your step scores, which you should download. If you have taken step 1 and step 2, make sure you download that transcript, because if not, they will literally get rid of it and you will have to pay, I think, like $80 or something to get it back. And like we could talk about also how to like afford or like how to budget for the ERAS application and whatnot. So just really stay tuned and let me know what else you want to see in regards to the ERAS application. Again, the next section that I have on this will be kind of the general information section. Following that will be the personal statement, and then we could talk about, you know, deciding which schools to apply to, how to do it, how to couples match, since I've like attempted to couples match in the past, and just anything that you want to know. Feel free to reach out to me. I did change my Instagram handle since I'm now a doctor. It is dr.samanthatall. And I really appreciate you guys watching this video. I know that I am not consistent with it, and that is just because I have had a lot of moving and stuff to do and stuff like that. But now that I'm here, and I hopefully have enough time to address a lot of your questions and whatnot, I'm really hoping to do this whole overview of ERAS prior to it being due in September. And I think we have enough time for that. So again, I wanted to say, you know, start working on the CV now. You got till September, but don't wait till that long. Let's solidify the CV so that when it comes time to putting it down into the ERAS system, you are literally copying and pasting and making your life 1,000 times easier. Because like I told you, you're going to want to see both. And it's good to just have the kind of foundation, which is like your PDF CV, and then your ERAS CV. And then that way, in case you lose one or the other, you have it ready, you have it perfected. And another final tip that I have with the CV is to always let somebody edit it for you. Never feel like, you know, like kind of like self-conscious or anything. Like if they're your like friend or mentor, they should be willing to read your CV and give you constructive feedback. And again, don't worry about the length of it. Just show all your accomplishments. You know, you are your biggest fan. So let the world know how amazing you are through your CV. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe to my channel, like and share with a friend who's also struggling with how to make the CV for ERAS. Until then, bye.